Guys, what's going on? This is KC, Kasai Films, and here is my review for Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. In all honesty, the critics were 100% right. This movie was very poorly written. You cannot blame Zack Snyder because Zack Snyder did an excellent job framing, putting shots together. Like every piece or set piece was pretty much a visual work of art, but you can only work with what is given to you, and if the script is not that good, you can't really do anything. I'm gonna go over a couple of points in the movie that just left me kind of wondering, like, why they do that, or that's kind of confusing to me, or why didn't they do it in this manner. First, like, literally, if you're a fan, you're gonna love seeing your favorite characters on screen. The action, although it was like towards the very end, it was good. Second, the writing, like, I know David Goyer, he said he's an accomplished writer. He's written a lot of great films, but this one was just like horrible. Like, the dialogue was, I think, too philosophical, too haiku-ish. And, I know certain characters speak certain ways, but like literally like everybody was kind of given like almost like a fortune cookie type of dialogue, whereas it's like comparing it to Marvel movies, since Marvel is literally leading the pack in like great action films. They just get down and dirty. They get down to business. They give you great dialogue that makes sense. It makes you relate, and then they have it spaced out with great action beats. This one, however, like, in all honesty, if you wanted to wait, if you were 2 hours and 15 minutes late to the movie, you're arriving right on time, because that's when the action starts, at the 2 hour and 15 minute mark. I think I wanted to see a little bit more of Batman. I wanted to see and hear great dialogue instead of like, this philosophical way of like looking at like gods and where they come from and why we worship them and blah 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 blah. I want to see action. I wanted to see more fighting, and if there's going to be some dialogue, let it be like meaningful. The actress Gal Gadot, or Gadot, I please forgive me if I'm pronouncing her name incorrectly. She's a beautiful, wonderful actress, and she was not utilized. Maybe they're trying to save her for, her own standalone movie, but at the same time, I still wanted to see a little bit more of her than almost like the female counterpart to James Bond or whatever. Like, Batman literally was like James Bond, and she was just like the mystery concubine. Like, if you look at like Halle Berry's character in the Pierce Brosnan James Bond, she was similar to that, but I wanted to see more. I wanted to see, her a little bit more in action, not playing this like kind of like person like hiding away. The points in the movie that left me confused was like, okay, you're showing that the character Superman has these great powers. He's super strong, super hearing, super duper fast. But then in one scene where something blows up, he literally just closes his eyes. And then he opens his eyes. He's like, oh, I couldn't save them. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Superman is nearly as fast as the Flash. And you're saying that he couldn't at least save some of the people in the room? He just closes his eyes and boom, it blows up. Another point I didn't like was the bat armor. First, he doesn't have it. He's just fighting in his bat suit. Then all of a sudden, bam, he has the bat armor. There's no building of the bat armor. There's no like initial plan on like, well, if I'm going to fight this person who's a god, I need to have some kind of armor. Where does he get the armor from? Why does, the why? Why does Lex Luthor hate Superman so much? Just because he's this being and he flies or whatever? Like, it's never really established why he hates him to the point where he wants him dead. He kind of alludes to God and him praying to God while his father was beating him and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whatever. That's still not a reason to want to kill someone who's obviously trying to save as many people as he can. And then also, like, you know, it shows a little biasness. It's like, okay, well, Superman can't save people in a room, but I hear Lois Lane beating on something. I can't even tell it's Lois Lane. I just hear the beating. Zoom. He flies off to save her. It just doesn't make sense. The one thing they got right was Batman. They got his costume 100% right. They have his fighting, which is the most important thing, 100% right. And they have his detective skills 100% right. I just wanted to see a lot more of it. I think everyone goes in there, they're going to sit in there and like from the first frame, they're going to be like, oh man, that's a great shot. Man, great direction. I love the way everything was framed up. And then as it keeps going on and on, I just happened to glance at my watch and I'm like, it's 12 o'clock already. What's going on in this movie? Where am I going to get the action or whatever? Then literally at the 2-hour, 15-minute mark, boom, that's when the action happens. And it just seemed too forced. Again, we're going to compare it to Marvel movies. Marvel movies aren't really forced. It's just A plus B equals C. You get the action, you get the reason why, you get the motivation for these characters to do battle. Here, you had semi-motivation, but it wasn't like enough for me to be like, okay, I get why they're doing this. Again, you cannot blame Zack Snyder. He is a fantastic director. He did his thing throughout the whole movie. He did his job. Where it failed was the writing. David Goya and I forgot who else written it with him. The script wasn't good. You could have trimmed out probably a half hour to 45 minutes of unnecessary fluff to get to the points of the movie. We didn't need a shot of Bruce Wayne taking off the cloth of his fancy car to go to meet Lex Luthor. That could have been eliminated. You didn't need him, going to put flowers on his parents' grave. You actually didn't even need that dream. Well, you kind of did need the dream sequence, but who has dreams like that? They could have alluded more to, the Flash or whatever going back in time to kind of like alert Batman, but it just seemed too forced. And again, they had the spoilers of the members of the Justice League that Lex Luthor apparently knows who these characters are and everything, but I don't know. It just seemed way too forced, and I think they're trying to quicken the pace and try and get to Marvel's level, because Marvel had X amount of years to set up Captain America, they set up Iron Man, they set up Thor, and then boom, they came together in the Avengers. And even in the Avengers, you can tell that each one of these characters didn't really like each other, but they learned they had to work with each other. And then once you've seen them learning to adapt and to work with one another, they formed a great team. This seems way too forced. They're trying to just shove all this stuff in people's faces and make people happy to move on with the Justice League. And we don't even establish the characters, even though if millions of people might know these characters, millions of people know Marvel characters, but they still set them up, which makes you want to love them and see them in action. At the end of the day, people are going to go see Batman vs. Superman. I might want to see it again on Blu-ray or DVD. I'm not going to spend any money to see it again, but it was okay. The people who like the DC characters, they will get what they wanted, but at the end of the day, the real fans who understand the storylines, understand the multiple storylines where Zack Snyder pulled from, I saw those frames, I've seen those shots, but it just wasn't executed well in a cohesive plan. It just was too forced. It's like, let's just shove this together, give the people what they want, and we'll make some money off of it, and then we can move on. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think you should have just said, hey, we can't catch up to Marvel. Let's follow our own lane. Let's plot out these movies. And instead of plotting them out all the way up until 2018, plot them out in 1 year. Shoot them all at the same time and every like 3 months, boom, Batman, boom, Superman, boom, Wonder Woman, boom, Flash, Cyborg, and then 2 years later, make them have the team. Stop spacing it out so long. Like, gosh, like, I think, people aren't living forever. Like, I want to see the movies now, not 2-3 years from now. But that's just my opinion. There's a lot of points where, I would have done, if I was directing it, I would have done certain things different. And again, I'm not saying I might not direct it because I'm a director, and pretty soon maybe Marvel or DC may come to me and say, hey, we want to give you a shot. And I'm like, oh, you're going to get your money's worth. But at the end of the day, like, I wanted to see more Batman. His fight sequence was good. It wasn't that rushed fight sequence that the Nolan films did. It was a great fight sequence. I just wanted more of it. I mean, if you're making Daredevil on Netflix, have 5-10 minute fight sequences, no cuts, and all of Daredevil season 1 and season 2 fight sequences were incredible, and they gave you, I think, a minute of Batman fighting. It was just, come on, DC, like, give us what we want. If anything, go see the movie. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. Subscribe right here, and thank you for watching. Till next time, this is KC. Deuces. Peace.